Week 1 is in the books. Which teams in the AFC told the truth? Which ones told a lie? We're going to break that down for you today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Krabs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate you all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase.
Joe, welcome back to the grid.
Thank you.
You got swallowed up into the grid like Tron. There just went off. Old Highmark Stadium we're making the parallels to Tron, right? You just disappeared and
I did.
Off you went, and then after all this time, you came back. Everybody tweeting me, Kyle, is everything okay? You guys didn't do a Monday show?
Yeah.
This is the Monday show. It's just 24 hours late.
Which is 4 hours less than my flight was delayed. 28 hours.
28 hours.
28-hour flight delay. Thank you. But I mean, it worked out. I was trapped in Buffalo, so might as well go to that Bills-Ravens game. But other than that.
All-time banger, right?
It was, but
Baltimore's going to be pissed at us because I was there for the comeback in 22 that you mentioned in the pre-show, and then 16 points in the final 7 minutes and 13 seconds, I believe it was, for the Buffalo Bills.
And then we were together at Hard Rock for the
Thursday night game in 21.
Yeah, and was it Tua came in and
after halftime?
Yeah, Lamar couldn't deal with the blitz that Brian Flores was sending, and so hopefully the Ravens don't learn this because you and I will no longer be allowed in the stadium with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. So do you want to start there? We're doing teams that told truths and lies. Do you want to start with the Ravens? Do you want to start with the Bills? I mean, it obviously might be the game of the year. Let's start there. It's an outstanding football game. The talent on the field on both sides, very evident. These are perceived to be two of the favorites in the AFC. What side of this fence do you want to go here to start?
Well, I think the easy part of identifying the truth in both of these teams is that both offenses are exceptional, right? They both scored over 30 points per game last year. You know, Baltimore and Buffalo are both top three in any way that you want to measure offense. Those two teams would be represented. And what makes, I think, both of them special is not only are they highly productive with scoring and yards, they also don't turn over the ball. These teams are both in the top three and not giving away the football. So I think we can agree that the truth is that both of these offenses are really, really outstanding.
Yeah, can go out on the field and put 40 on anybody and win a game if they have to in that fashion, right? You'd ideally not like to give up 256 yards or whatever it was passing in the fourth quarter, like Baltimore did. I think that's what the lie would be, is that Baltimore's pass defense is not going to have that cause for concern. Although Jair Alexander did not play a good football game on Sunday night. And that was supposed to be like the exciting bells and whistles cherry on top was Jair Alexander. And not just, we tackled Keon Coleman and should have let him score, and maybe you have a chance to get the ball back with a minute and some timeouts to make a game-winning drive happen.
Well, Jair hadn't really practiced up until the last few days, right? I mean, he was late arrival to practicing after missing a lot of time, and he's missed a lot of time over the last few years. And so I don't think it was a great opportunity for him to play his best ball, but obviously I do agree with you that he struggled mightily. But I think the Ravens defense will probably be okay. I think they'll be certainly not restrictive for them to go on a run this year. And we've seen them start slow defensively in other years. And I think, ultimately it was a fourth quarter, right? The Bills poured it on 22 points in the fourth quarter. Right. Like you mentioned, 250 passing yards in the fourth quarter. And so I thought they played well enough until that point. The question, though, is, did the Bills defense tell us the truth, or did they tell us a lie? And I think we need more data on this, because obviously the Bills had a very aggressive offseason to help their defense, investing their top 5 draft picks and, free agent dollars and
You didn't see
Bosa and
half
Hoyt.
those investments on the field, though.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with this. Is you didn't see the first round pick Maxwell Hairston. You didn't see, because he's on injured reserve for 4 weeks, and then you also didn't see Michael Hoyt, who I think is a really important piece of what this defense wants to be. Of course, Larry Ogunjobi also suspended. So, and you had a lot of injuries throughout the offseason during camp and preseason with Taylor Rapp and Terrell Bernard, and it looked like a bunch of guys that, number one, were in a bad matchup against Baltimore.
Yeah.
If everyone's healthy and ready to go, it's not a good matchup for Buffalo. But then it just looked like a group that, a lot of injuries throughout the offseason, and you're without some of your most important pieces to take the defense in a new direction. But I think that remains to be seen. This could be a problem, but it needs to normalize. I think we need more data.
You would go to the Friday game, Chargers Chiefs?
Yes.
Did week 1 Chargers international win over Kansas City tell us more of a truth of the Chargers or a lie of the Chiefs? You would talk about bad-looking defensive performances. Kansas City looked as bad as they've looked under Spags.
Yeah.
Just this all kinds of open air and space. And that was a pretty common theme across a lot of the games that I watched in week 1, was like the coverage spacing was not a lot of easy completions to be found.
Yeah.
But when it's Herbert and you have kind of the addition, Keenan Allen looks like a great addition for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quentin Johnston looking like he's ready to fulfill some of his potential. Those elements, plus Herbert's ability to, outside of structure, kind of access all levels of the field, created a lot of the chunk plays and all the passing yards that the Chargers end up getting. And it leads to the Chargers finally getting over the hump against Kansas City and getting that big win in what had been so many frustrating one-score losses to the Chiefs.
Well, and I give Greg Roman a lot of credit. He stayed aggressive the entire game, and I thought that mattered a ton. I think there is some truth to questions about Kansas City's defense, mostly as it pertains to the pass rush and what type of juice they have to get after the quarterback. I thought that was probably one of the biggest issues. But Kyle, I don't think it's a lie where this Chiefs offense is. I don't. This was the 15th scoring offense each of the last 2 years, and they've been able to situationally figure things out. But I don't know that they have any explosiveness to the rushing offense. I think that Mahomes did hit Thornton eventually, but the down the field stuff is just not there. And I think they keep trying to fix it with speed. And I'm not sure that's what they need. I think they need some ball skills and some size and some chemistry for Pat Mahomes to work with somebody that can really open up this offense. And I think that the concerns that we come out of that game with about the Chiefs offensively are legitimate, and we'll see where it goes. But I would identify that as a truth.
Yeah. And I think it was really frustrating to see Kansas City came in with a plan very clearly and get some plays down the field.
Yeah.
Teams are just not going to give it to you, right? And it's funny because that was obviously such a dynamic early chapter piece of what Kansas City's look like. And there's been some other teams across the league. I know we'll probably talk about the Dolphins at some point under Mike McDaniel, but like the too high stuff and where the explosive plays at. Yeah. If teams just refuse to give it to you, you just have to take what else they're going to give you. And it felt like that's what Kansas City did more of in the second half. And then Pat put on the cape and created a couple of explosive plays in kind of the end game sequence because you had to have them and you cut it loose.
I think in fairness to Kansas City, and I can feel Chiefs fans yelling at me right now, they lose Worthy early in the game and they don't have Rashee Rice, who I think is obviously important parts of their offense, but that's kind of been the story. Like their skill players get flipped upside down all the time lately. And I think that's hurt their progression as an offense.
For sure.
All right. A ton more to get to, folks. Be sure to stick with us. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you could turn your takes into real prizes all in less than 60 seconds. I've been playing PrizePicks lately, and it's so much fun and a great way to stay locked in for the season. I love checking the projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270 passing yards, or Saquon Barkley for more or less than 1 rushing touchdown. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Hey, football fans, are you still paying full price for gas?
No.
Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use our limited time promo code touchdown, and that'll get you an extra 25 cents per gallon back on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid real money just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out at any time to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using our limited time promo code touchdown for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code touchdown. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Where would you like to go next? In the wild, wonderful AFC.
How about Bengals and Browns?
Okay. Browns, by the way, just restructured Denzel Ward's contract recently. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Get a few bucks.
They're up to $18 million in cap space. Now he's got a $33 million cap charge for 2026, but tomato, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is it true that the Bengals defense has a pulse? Give up, only 16 points. I know. Is it just because it's the Browns? Do we not put much into it?
Well, I think the biggest lie here is that the Bengals won in week 1, right? Because the Bengals never win in week 1. So just that,
right?
The small miracle alone of Cincinnati managing to win a week 1 game. I think Cincinnati scoring 17 is the biggest lie out of this game. Personally,
better offense than that.
Better offense than that. I think the Browns defense will probably rank towards the bottom when it's all said and done of scoring defense. I just have that perception of that roster, right? But it's a divisional game in Cleveland, week 1. You have all the time in the world to prepare. Kind of felt like it was a good recipe for Cleveland to maybe keep it closer than a lot of people thought, including us, with where we took Cincinnati. I think it was 5.5 point spread. The show took Cincinnati to cover. They did not. And the Browns could have won this game very easily. But I think the biggest lie is Cincinnati scoring 17 points.
Yeah, they had 141 total yards. Cincinnati. They possessed the ball for under 25 minutes. All that, they played Gerald Burrow all preseason long for this, but they won. So that's a big dub. Do we need to give Cleveland's defense some credit? Is there some truth that that's a defense that can keep them in games? It's week 1 against a divisional opponent. Is it that simple?
In Cleveland.
At home?
Yeah.
I think
that's a lie. Yeah. That this is who they are. How about of the teams that lost? I think no team won more that lost than the New York Jets. Given the Steelers everything they could handle, as Chris Boswell kicks a 60-yard field goal in the final 2 minutes to take a 2-point lead. The Jets' offensive line, despite the injury to Elijah Vera Tucker, they're physical. They move people. They ran the ball well. They statistically dominated Pittsburgh in almost every measure of success, with the exception of the final score. And they had a fumble by Gibson on a kickoff immediately after Pittsburgh had scored, and it led to 2 Aaron Rodgers touchdown passes in like 1 minute of game clock. That's unfortunate. Those are the little things you have to get fixed. But if I'm Aaron Glenn, I walk away from specifically my offensive identity out of this game, and I feel really good foundationally about what it shows about what we want to try to be as a team.
I think you're correct in everything that you said, but I will pump the brakes a little.
Okay.
And the reason is whenever the Bills play the Jets every year. And so I was going through my schedule wish list, and the receipts exist from back in May. And I said, I don't want the Jets early in the year. I don't want this team early in the year because everything is very unique about this offense with Fields and this offensive line and a new coordinator. Like, you just don't know what to expect. And I think the Steelers or whatever team played the Jets in week 1, it was going to be a tough draw because obviously this team's going to come out guns blazing for this hard-nosed coach in Aaron Glenn. But also just that's a really unique offense that you'd like to get some type of feel for. So maybe, and it certainly was my biggest question about the Jets was, what this offense looked like. And it's certainly off to a great start, but I do think there's some normalization that will play out as there's more of an understanding of what this Jets offensive identity truly is and how they want to run it.
I think that's fair. But if you told me, hey, you ran the ball with a lot of success.
Yeah, they did.
Hey, you played a really good, what we graded as the best defensive front in football. And you got after those guys. Membu, Fashanu, Tippmann, John Simpson, and then obviously you had the replacement for Vera Tucker with Josh Myers. I'm really excited about that if I'm a Jets fan. And I think that's, maybe it won't be to that same degree because it is week 1, but that opponent with that amount of physical appeal, I think that's a truth of what the Jets are going to look like this year. And it's up to teams structurally to kind of load and flood the box and then have somebody you feel like can match up with Garrett Wilson.
How are you reconciling Aaron Rodgers, 22 of 30, 244, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions? Is it true he's back? Is Aaron Rodgers back, or is that a lie?
I think some of that is to be determined. I don't have a lot of convictions on Rodgers and the Steelers offense coming out of the game. Now they use the heck out of those tight ends, which is great because Arthur Smith's got a bunch of them, wants to use them. But I do think the Jets making scheme changes to Aaron Glenn versus what the Robert Saleh, like that was the identity of that team under Saleh, was a certain brand of football, right? And then you make some changes to that. I think maybe that taxes what your expectation was for the Jets defense. And the Jets defense statistically was not good last year, right? Versus what they were in 22 was that outstanding season in which they were just phenomenal in just about every metric. So I don't have any conviction one way or another on Aaron Rodgers.
I think the arm's still there. I worry about the movement skills, man. I've been worried about the movement skills. So if he can throw in rhythm, bro, I mean, he can throw dots, but
right.
He's got to move off his spot. It gets dicey.
Do you want to go to break? Do you want to squeeze in the Texans? Do you want to do the Titans, Broncos, Dolphins, Colts, the Jags?
Let's squeeze in Texans real quick because that's a cross-divisional or cross-conference game. They scored 9 points against a Rams defense that we had questions about. The truth or lie that the Houston offense is going to have its share of challenges this year.
Well, the concern there was the matchup that we talked about when we picked the game on Thursday was the Rams defensive front against the Texans offensive line. Now, I didn't foresee 9 points. I didn't foresee getting shut out in the second half. I didn't foresee CJ Stroud going 19 to 27 for 188 yards and an interception. I didn't foresee what was your leading receivers for Houston was Jaden Higgins and Xavier Hutchinson for 2 catches for 32 and 30 yards. Right? Your leading receiver from a receptions perspective was Cade Stover in this game.
Yeah.
I think that is lying to you about what it's going to look like. But again, home team had an overwhelming matchup with their defensive front against Houston, where their biggest weakness offensively, and they had some guys that were down at receiver, was the offensive line. I think this game might not lie, in my opinion, on who won the game, but I think the script of the game is lying a little bit versus what these teams should expect this season.
A lot of new for the Houston offense, new coordinator, new offensive line in some ways. No Joe Mixon, right? Nick Chubb stepping in at running back. All the new receivers. And so pretty exotic Rams defense with a lot returning. was a tough matchup for them. And so I think the Houston offense will be fine, but they have a lot to prove. And I mean, Stafford balled out as well. So
yes, he did. And I'll tell you, some people who are hoping something that is not a lie is the target and reception split for Puka Nacua fantasy football owners.
Boy,
because he went 10 for 130, and it was Devontae Adams for 4 for 51, and then one reception for the next 5 guys down the list, and then Colby Parkinson had 2 catches, but he had -6 yards. So
and he fumbled, right? Didn't he have fumble? Yeah.
Heavy dose of Puka Nacua, which I would expect to be a truth for this offense for the Rams.
As long as he's healthy.
As long as he's healthy.
All right. The rest of the AFC coming up on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. And that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast and easy and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I was literally just in this predicament. I needed last-minute tickets to Bills-Ravens. I was in the airport. I went to Game Time. I was able to pick the exact seats I wanted, which was I wanted upper deck, row 1, and I got a great deal. Love the all-in pricing. The tickets were delivered directly to my phone. It was super easy. There is no better way to buy a ticket. It's faster, it's cheaper, and less stressful than any other way to get tickets. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Tickets to Oklahoma at Temple on Saturday. Game Time.
Game Time. It's a spot.
You picked the front of the section.
Yeah, I did. I wanted row 1. I didn't want to, I didn't want to stay in the whole game. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we were right there.
And you got to stand up, and then somebody in front of you stands up. So now you're totally out of control for when you want to stand. It's messy.
I'm almost 40 years old, man. Not doing that anymore.
Oh, is there a segue here? Oh, we burned the Joe Flacco walking point for almost 40 years old here.
Is any 40-year-olds? No, there's no other ones.
Tua looked like he was about 40 out there.
I put that on a platter for you. You took it. You took it. I saw your tweet.
Which one?
What was somebody had asked you? You looked like he was older. Like he's always looked old or something.
He's always looked slow. But
yeah,
this game telling more about the Colts, telling more about the Dolphins. Is the team checked out in Miami? I think that's the question, right? Is this a big week? Because if the Dolphins come out similarly flat at home to what they did against Indianapolis on
who do they play?
The Patriots.
Okay.
And then they play the Bills in Buffalo on Thursday.
Oh, God.
Right. So you very quickly have what feels like a massive magnitude game as far as Thursday next week's not going to go well. That's writing on the wall. But especially you gave Daniel Jones almost 200 passing yards in the first half.
Yeah.
They didn't force a single. Well, they did force a punt, and then they ran into the punter on 4th and 3. And the Colts scored on all 7 of their possessions in the game. So you have that element of it. You have Tua. I do the old school PFF +2, -2 grading.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for every player last year. I said I'm not doing that again this year, but I wanted to see you get this catastrophic Tua game. He graded 3 times worse than the Houston game last year on a play-over-play basis of above or below expectation. Probably the worst game he's played. You could put like the Chargers game in 22 up there. One of the worst games he's played with Mike McDaniel. And we heard talking about he's working on his mastery of the offense.
Yeah. What's the story? I mean, it's year however many in the scheme.
Yeah.
Waddle and Hill are there. I feel like the offensive line's been upgraded. It's not like this is a great Colts defense.
Well, James Daniels went down 3 plays into the game. He's out for about a month.
Oh, good.
And then Austin Jackson, who missed all of training camp, had a toe injuries. They're looking for more information, but that sounds like an extended absence as well. So
the
now the entire right
gone.
side of the offensive line is gone after 3 plays. I'm telling you, the Bullygate curse for the offensive line is real. That was my bold take was, hey, we're going to get like 14 plus starts for all 5 of the starters on offense.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over already. It lasted 3 plays.
So I guess the truth is it over? Is it cooked? Is this iteration of Miami done? Obviously, we need more time, but like that's not the purpose of what we're doing right now.
Right. If the Dolphins play in week 2 the way that they did in week 1, it will tell me that the team is checked out on Mike. And that's
like, I'm not trying to be funny, but if that happens and then they get smoked by the Bills on Thursday, is that it?
You should if you're the owner. And I think part of the question that people had was, why would you come into a year after the way that last year went and make that decision? And we could do a whole show on that as far as cycling and optimizing what your situation looks like for hiring purposes and the decisions that they made and where you're locked in and where you're not. But yeah, I think it feels very Joe Philbin-y right now. And if you remember, Joe Philbin kind of got awkward, and then he got the extension, the 1-year extension to kind of smooth things over going into 2015. Joe Philbin coached the first 4 games and was fired. And then Dan Campbell came in as the interim, and they went 5-7 in the 12 games that Dan Campbell ran. Like, I think this game's lying about Daniel Jones, that he's going to be that efficient.
Yeah.
But it's a Miami problem, right?
So we didn't learn anything about Indianapolis. They're not a juggernaut that's going to, go on a run.
Right. The opposition totally did not look like they were prepared to play a game at all, which you would not have guessed because the whole selling point was continuity, familiarity. We've sustained both coordinators on both sides of the ball. Everybody should be comfortable with what they're doing. I guess at the end of the day, this team had 50% roster turnover, and that showed in some degree, but the team was flat. It can't happen.
Patriots, Raiders. Raiders go across the country, win 20-13. Geno Smith, 362 passing yards in his first start, 100 yards for Brock Bowers. I guess I think the Raiders' offense was always supposed to be pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
The question was the defense. They go out, they get 4 sacks, they hold New England to 13 points.
New England's offensive line was bad in this game, and kind of are who we thought they were in that regard. Like, I think that kind of tells the truth about some of the concerns about New England.
Yeah,
and no Christian Gonzalez on defense either.
Right. I don't know that their defense will give up this type of production. Their run defense was pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a big part of that. But that's kind of the question with their corners is Carlton Davis misses a handful of games every year. And Gonzalez has had, he's been banged up to start his career. When he's on the field, he's unbelievable.
Right.
But Harold Landry have like 2 or 3 sacks in that game? He knows how to get free in this Vrabel defense. But
do you think this game is lying more for Ashton Genty and the Raiders running attack, or lying more for the Patriots rush defense?
I think the Patriots have a good rush defense.
Do you think it's that good? You think it's Ashton Genty playing like he's playing against Penn State?
Well, it's all but
college football playoff and 2 yards a carry. Good.
I think that's the part of this where you have a new lead running back. It's the first ever start in the NFL going up against Vrabel's always had good run defenses, man,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the personnel to do it. So I think it's more about the context of the moment than it is Ashton Genty's not going to be the dude we think he can be. So I think that's a lie. I think that needs to play out.
I think this game is lying about the Raiders defense too. Did you see the rushing totals for New England in this game?
They didn't have anything, right? Nothing.
Henderson, 5 for 27. It's 5.4 yards a carry. It's a healthy clip. Ramondre Stevenson, 7 for 15. Drake May, 4 for 11. Pop Douglas, 1 for 4. Antonio Gibson, 1 for 3.
I don't think we learned much about the rush defense for either team.
Broncos Titans? Is that our last game? We have successfully checked the box. We didn't do
Jaguars.
Well, let's do Jaguars quickly then.
Okay. Another lightning delay game, right? Is Travis Etienne's back, or is it just the worst defense we've ever seen defending the run in game one with a lot of new pieces?
I think it's that. And then it is funny that Jacksonville then proceeds to trade Tank Bigsby.
Right.
After week one. But you keep hearing the name Bashal Tutin as the motivation there, not necessarily, hey, Travis Etienne really blew us away in week one against Carolina, where every starter's new, Derek Brown's back from injury, J.C. Horn, like that. Was that the extent of like stability within that? I'll tell you who is probably hoping that this game ends up being a lie, and it's Ejiro Vero.
Boy. Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville ran for 200 yards, 26 points in a game in which Trevor Lawrence, I didn't think played great. Now, he played better than Bryce.
Talk about him tomorrow.
We'll talk about him tomorrow. Broncos Titans. This game told the truth for me on Brian Callahan. You see that catch, non-catch?
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He didn't know the rule, and he came out on Monday and he was like, yeah, I didn't know the rule.
This guy's coached 18 games in the NFL.
You're a head coach football team, man. Like, I don't know.
18 games, bro. I mean, I don't know about this guy. Obviously, no efficiency for that off. I mean, Denver's defense is good. They sacked them, Cam Ward, 6 times. I figured that would be kind of the case here in his debut. I thought that was a very tough assignment. But what do you think about maybe the Titans' defense? And I thought they did well to make things hard on Bo Nix. I mean, obviously they had some explosive runs. The Broncos did offensively, but is the Titans' defense legit, or has it always been pretty good, and they can't play complementary football?
No, I think this is the first team that had a full offseason and film on Bo Nix coming into a game and having an opportunity to kind of have a plan for Bo. And that happens with second-year quarterbacks from time to time. I don't think it's like Bo Nix stinks or is awful or he's cosplaying as an NFL quarterback like you've heard all these takes about Bo Nix. But I didn't think Bo had a very strong performance. I think Broncos fans would probably agree with that. Eager to see how he bounces back because you have the Chargers with a big win head-to-head over the Chiefs. This Broncos team was perceived to have kind of those similar divisional aspirations. But if Bo plays like that, it ain't going to happen. So big bounce back opportunity for Denver.
We go to the Colts next week.
Oh, yeah. We'll figure out real quick.
Right.
That Colts juggernaut defense.
Lou Anarumo, baby. Xavier Howard.
That's right. Xavier Howard. Kyle Krabs, Joe Marino, that's going to do it for us here. Locked on NFL Scouting. Week 1 AFC in the books. NFC coming your way tomorrow. We hope to see you then.